Real estate isn't just about buying houses. It's about understanding cycles, patterns, and history that keep repeating itself. From the suburban boom after World War II to the 2008 housing crash to policies like the Fair Housing Act, each moment in real estate history has left lessons that still shape the market today. If you know the past, you can predict the future. So in the video, I'm breaking down 3 major U.S. historical events. What went wrong or right, and what you can actually learn from them in today's market. This is Real Estate with Soul, and I'm Lori Alvarez. All the facts and no fluff. So let's go.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The suburban boom. Let's start in the 50s. After World War II, millions of returning veterans needed housing. The GI Bill made it easier for them to buy homes with low interest mortgages, and developers like William Levitt started building mass-produced suburban communities. This gave the rise to the American dream: the house, the yard, the car, and a family in the suburbs. And here's the thing. This boom also came with flaws. Many suburban communities practiced racial segregation, either outright or through discriminatory lending policies like redlining. So while some families were building wealth through homeownership, others were out for decades. Lesson 1, real estate growth is powerful and access matters. If only certain groups benefit, the wealth gap widens, and we're still dealing with those effects today. Think about how rising prices affect first-time homebuyers, or how certain neighborhoods still feel the impact of past redlining. That's called the compounding effect. So section 2, the housing crash, 2008. Oof, tough time. So let's jump forward to 2008, probably the most infamous event in recent real estate memory. Leading up to the crash, banks were handing out risky loans, subprime mortgages to people who often couldn't actually afford them. I remember I had just been a few years into the business during this time. Oh my goodness. These loans were bundled into mortgage-backed securities and sold on Wall Street, creating what's called the housing bubble. Prices kept going up until they didn't. 2011, that's what that looked like. The bubble burst. Millions of people lost their homes, and neighborhoods were filled with foreclosures, and the financial system nearly collapsed. I remember 2011, I was showing a property, and I remember hearing a little girl in her bedroom. She didn't want to open the door. The house was so dark, and we were doing our best to look at the property. And this little girl, with her door closed, lights turned off, mom and dad in the kitchen, and us just wanting to buy a home. My clients wanting to find their dream home, heard this little girl just screaming, "Don't take my home." It was one of those heart-wrenching moments for me where when someone says, "I want the real estate market to crash," I just think and want to say out loud to them, "You don't even know what you're saying." that is a moment that you just will never forget. So lesson 2, real estate isn't immune to bubbles. When lending gets loose, or when buyers rely on speculation rather than fundamentals, the market becomes fragile. And today, some people worry we're heading toward another crash. If you look closely, lending standards are tighter now, and buyers usually have stronger financial profiles. That doesn't mean that prices can't cool off, because they have, and the market is definitely shifting. It does mean the 2020s are not a carbon copy of 2008. That is for certain. Then there's the Fair Housing Act. In 1968, the Fair Housing Act was passed. I'll let you all know, I was not even here yet. I didn't come to fruition until 73. And yeah, I just had a birthday. The Fair Housing Act was making it illegal to discriminate in housing based on race, religion, national origin, or sex. On paper, it was a huge step forward, and in practice, housing inequality didn't vanish overnight. Discrimination in lending and appraisals continued for decades, and in many cases, it still shows up today. I can personally share with you, I was selling a house just a couple years back, and an agent actually called me and said, hey, the reason why your house isn't sold yet is because you're letting that renter, and I won't even say what she meant by that renter. I'll let your mind go wherever it needs to go. But she said, because you're allowing that renter to show the property, it won't ever sell. I couldn't even believe she said that out loud to me on the telephone. And yes, that house sold with that renter being present at showings. So it just shows that you can overcome. So look, lesson 3 here, real estate isn't just about money. It's about fairness. Policies matter, and the market works best when it's accessible, open, transparent, and equitable for investors, buyers, and even renters. That's a reminder. Ethical practices are not just the right thing to do. They're what builds long-term trust and stability in the housing market. So what do these 3 lessons tell us about today's market? The suburban boom showed us how housing can shape entire lifestyles and economies, and also how exclusionary practices create lasting inequality. The 2008 crash reminded us that unchecked lending and speculation can bring a whole system down, and that the Fair Housing Act proves that policy and fairness play a huge role in shaping opportunity. History doesn't repeat itself exactly, and it definitely impacts us. When we pay attention to these patterns, we can make smarter decisions as investors, buyers, or even renters navigating today's housing world. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, I know you did, if you enjoyed this deep dive into real estate history, hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Which housing event do you think had the biggest impact on today's market or even your own personal life?